Welcome to Conscious Mindset Fireside Chat. I am Aletha Williams, your host for this episode and for all the episodes that you will be tuning into. I am so happy to be here. We strive to bring topics that stimulate focus to help guide you so you can feel confident and comfortable changing your wellness towards creating the best version of yourself. This interview, we will be talking to Bokri Jambor, an entrepreneur, a husband, a father, and a mentor to many. So stay tuned, and I look forward to hearing your comments and your support. Cheers. Welcome, everybody. This is Aletha Williams here for another great conscious mindset chat where we bring some very powerful conversations and subject matter and bring fellow brothers and sisters from the field that are doing it and they're succeeding so that we can bring some mentorship into the program and show people that if we can do it, you can do it. And we give you some of our tips as to how we went about creating resiliency and stepping through the challenge of that showed up in our lives. Without further ado, please welcome Balkari Jambor. Hi, Balkari. I want to say
Hey, how you doing,
Balkari.
sis?
You know, it's so funny. I want to say
Yeah,
Balkari. It is. I don't know where my spirit is
it's
going with
Bakari.
that.
It's actually Bakari. Yes, it's like
Oh,
saying Bobby. It's Bakari.
oh, I
Yep.
love it. Well, that puts more of my Jamaican accent in it then. Bakari, man. Well, Bakari, I am very interested in just even your last name. Can you tell us more a little bit about your last name? I'm very good about names and learning about the history. I love hearing the stories.
Sure, sure. I was named Bakari John Boy by one of our elders, Mende, and my people come from a place called Sierra Leone. Also, we're connected with the Gullah Geechees. And once I found out what I am via my African ancestry DNA, what I did was I wanted to relinquish, the name that's non-African. So I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to connect with who and what I am. And I took the name from my mama's side because that's
Mm-hmm.
literally on my mom's side. My mama was the one who raised me. She was the one who instilled the morals that I have in me. She was just there for me from birth into manhood. So for me, I wanted to take on that family side due to what I just aforementioned. But the last name, John Boy, is actually a Mende warrior within the Bellaboo village there over in Sierra Leone. John Boy was actually a warrior there who, was one of a notoriety amongst the people there. So my elder, according to tradition, your elders, they name you,
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, my elder named me Bakari Jambor. So I took upon the name Bakari Jambor. Now, when I actually go home, though, my last name will be completed once I actually return back home to the motherland, which we're going to be going there next year to Sierra Leone for me to get my citizenship there. And additionally, while I'm there, I'll be getting my last name, which means I actually return back home and reunited to the family.
Oh wow, that is exciting. Let me ask you
Absolutely.
something. You say it's almost like a pilgrimage when, in the version of a pilgrimage, you're going back and you're accepting your African culture name. And are you setting up elders there that are going to be there to give you that name? Or is it a ceremony? What's going to happen?
Yes, I don't set up the elders traditionally. That's what they do.
Right.
So the elders are the one that comes together. And everything goes through the elders.
Mhm.
Everything. Baba say he had to go. He's actually my big brother, my elder brother there, Manuel say, and he actually took it to the elders
Mm.
that's older than himself, and they blessed it. And
Wow.
so what happens is when I come, I actually will get connected with the Jumboa family there.
Mhm.
And what happened is I get adopted into the family, and then we carry on the tradition. So anybody that comes in here after that, we bring into the fold, if you will, that has a Mende name, and I introduce them to the elders. They'll actually be a part of the Jumboa family.
Wow. Beautiful. I grew up in Jamaica and So we've adopted a lot of the African culture where the elders are, gold. We have
Absolutely.
high respect for our elders, and
Yes,
we don't
yes.
see that in the US as much. And so that's something that I want to talk
True.
about, but we're going to go that when we shift into that mid phase of our interview. But before that,
Okay.
want to talk about who you is, what made you who you are, right? What made you who you are? I know that you grew up in Brooklyn, right? Not Brooklyn, the Bronx.
No, Rochester, New York. I'm from upstate.
Rochester, the cold
Yeah, I'm
area.
upstater. Yeah, I'm upstater.
So you grew up in New York.
Oh yeah. Born and
Tell me a
raised.
little bit about it. You said your mom was the one that brought you up, but tell me
Oh
a little
yeah.
bit about little Bakr. Oh my gosh, Bakari, and tell me how, as a teenager, what struggles you had to fight, your
hmm
own demons, in order to become the
hmm
man that you are today.
Well, unfortunately, I was involved in the gang life
Mm,
and also involved in the drug dealing life. So, my mindset obviously was a chaotic mindset. So for myself, I've had near-death experiences, not necessarily the almost leaving the body. I call anybody who escaped death like myself who almost got shot numerous times when I was in the street, twice point blank range, and I was set up at a barbershop
mm,
all in my young teenage years. This all happened in my young teenage years. I actually lost my best friend. I was 15, he was 14, and unfortunately, he got his brains blown out.
mm,
Then I lost another friend who got into a shootout with an undercover cop. And unfortunately, he lost his life in the shootout.
mm,
So with that being said, all those things transpired during that time of my life. And I was raised up in the Christian church,
right.
so I knew I was wrong. It wasn't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I was just in a heart and heart mode, and I was in a gangster mode to where I just didn't care. I lived a reckless life. You might as well say I was suicidal because I put myself in harm's way. So what transpired with my friends, it actually impacted my life,
Mm,
and I started thinking about all the near death experiences, me almost getting shot twice, point blank range, being set up at the barbershop. I didn't even have any guns, but guns were on me, if you
mm,
understand what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
So I know that it wasn't my toughness, it wasn't my reputation.
Mm,
I recognize that I'm living for a divine purpose because all those situations,
mm,
the other two situations, were not common. And I'm gonna explain what I mean by that is that these guys, when they was getting ready to shoot, they recognized who I am.
mm,
And we went to school together. Each person that was getting ready to pull the trigger looked and said, I know you. And I grew up on two of the worst sides of the city in Rochester, New York. I
right.
grew up on the east side and the west side, right? And so both of these guys knew me from those different sides of the city. I had grown up with them. They knew me in school and what have you, right?
Right.
So they were like, oh man, yo, you don't have nothing to do with this. They never made me choose sides. In
Mm,
the streets, that's doggone near unheard of.
mm,
For you not to say, okay, well, who you with then? you know, I never had to make that choice. I had love on both sides. And
mm,
so I was released and both sides agreed. They was like, yo, man, you go ahead, because my nickname is Man. You go ahead
mhm,
and go and get out of here. And I left. I
mm,
left, you know what I'm saying? So I really had reflected, be honest with you, sis, on all those things. And what happened was too, I definitely want to share this, is that I seen this woman getting ready to sell, not actually getting ready to, attempted to sell her daughter's clothes, her baby girl clothes. I'm talking about literally a baby girl clothes. And she wanted to try to exchange it for drugs, man.
mm,
And when I seen that, that broke my heart.
yeah.
And I was in the streets during that time. And then unfortunately, I had family members who had ended up having, drug addictions and alcoholism, and our families were turned from good to bad because of the drugs and the alcoholism. And so when I seen her attempt to do that, the first thing I thought about was my family members, you know, who was affected by it, and how this mother was trying to exchange her daughter's clothes for narcotics. And I'm like, man, I can't do this no more. And I literally gave up the game after that. I was like, man, this is it's not worth it. My community is torn up. I'm almost losing my life. My friends lost their lives, and it just wasn't worth it. My heart was just touched, and just it became tender during that time, if you will. And it was like from that moment, my mindset changed, my attitude changed, you know. And I know I was divinely touched because at one time I didn't care, and then after I almost got shot, I was still hanging around the same people. Right?
Yeah.
So I know that that was a divine touch.
Mm-hmm.
I know that that was a divine touch.
Yeah.
You know, for my consciousness to awaken and for me to recognize the things I was doing, and also for me to make that choice at that moment, because I actually seen death. I had a dream, and I actually seen me getting shot. Okay. And I have to backtrack because before my best friend got shot, I even seen that in a dream. But I couldn't remember it at the time that he gave me an invitation to go to the same party that he got shot at.
Right.
So at the time, I just could not remember. But for some reason, well, I know the reason is now, but at that time, I just kept feeling like, man, you know, he shouldn't go to that party. So I say, yo, man, don't go to the party, man. Just, you know, chill with me, you know, and, you know, let's just chill out, man. You know what I'm saying? Chill out with me, you know, and, you know, we go to the movies tomorrow, you know, we be good, you know? So he's like, nah, man, you know, I'm gonna go hit this party up. And I just kept feeling like he shouldn't go. And I was like, yo, this is the first time I ever said this to my best friend. I said, man, I love you. I never told my friend that. Never. Out of all the years, him and I'm talking about, we knew each other since preschool.
Right.
All the way up to high school. That's how long I actually know him. We literally grew up together.
Right.
You understand? And so, you know, after it had happened, I recall I had a dream, and that death was knocking at my door. You know what I'm saying? So from that point and everything else I aforementioned, I had like a reflection, like it was like a movie reel. When I was in high school, it was a movie reel, just like when I was walking in the hallway and I had some product on me at the time and walking through the hallway, you know, and then that flash, all those things, everything that happened, everything that I just forementioned, I like not just happened, flash, and I was like, I can't do this no more. And so I went to my friend, who him and I was in the game together, because he was the one who put me on. And I went to him and I handed it back. I said, yo, man, I'm done. I'm done. And he was getting ready to rise up. And it was like seeing a mirage type of image. And this is a true story. It like came over him. I literally seen it. It was like a blur. Came over him, and then he sat down. Because when he rose up, I was getting ready to beat him down. And we were in school. So everything happened for a reason, because in my mind, I was just thinking like, okay, he getting ready to get aired out. That's what was going in my mind. That's what I was thinking. Like, okay, he getting ready to, you know, to catch these hands. He getting ready to get that work. He ready to get that work. You know what I'm saying? You know, so, you know, fortunately for him and I, because I would have ended up in jail, you know what I'm saying? Because I know him, you know, and I'm like, okay, you know, this would have went it would have been all bad. It would have been deadly.
Right.
Literally. You know, so when I seen that happen, I must admit, I was like, what in the world? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what's going on? Like, what's up with me?
Right.
And then I then I had a lot of dreams, and I started seeing me preaching. Preaching. You know, like being a messenger, being an oracle, and preaching messages that will bring salvation and healing to people. And it wasn't necessarily like preaching out of the Bible per se. It was just, I see myself up in the pulpit. Now, I did end up being a preacher, but I'm just saying of the gospel. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
you know,
Tell me
that's what happened.
something. Tell me something. Did you have a mother and father figure growing up in your life?
No, unfortunately, I didn't.
Okay.
That's why earlier I mentioned, how my mother was there. My
Right.
father, unfortunately, um, wasn't one who stood up and handled his responsibility to none of my siblings and I. And I'm actually the oldest one. Um, I'm the only child on my mother's side, but
Right.
on my father's side, I have a brother and a sister, and I spoke to them, and all of us went through the same thing. He was an absent father. So,
Right.
I forgave him though. You know what I'm saying? My father is not even here anymore. He's an
Hmm.
ancestor now,
Hmm.
so but I forgave my father though. You know what I'm saying? I did. Um,
I have a quick question for you. In looking back at the way you were brought up and the dangers that showed up,
mhm,
we always say as the success that we are now, we always say that in looking back, there were times when the struggle
mhm,
made you who you are today.
mhm.
What is one of the biggest things that you think made you who you are today?
The mentorship of my grandmother and my mother and my auntie, my mother's older sister, my auntie Queen Esther.
Yes.
My mother Dale Bradley.
Yeah.
My grandmother Esther Allen. They're the ones who actually molded me and shaped me into the man that I am today. So I would have to say, them molding me and shaping me and instilling in me good morals and good character.
If you were to draw a stick figure, Bakri,
Mhm.
about this molding of what these phenomenal women did, right? Describe how are you shaped? Like, what are some of the things that shape that person who you are?
Okay. Well, again, like I said, good morals, them
Likewise.
teaching me, to be a man of character, to be an upright man, them teaching me how to be financially responsible.
Mm,
Also let me also add this too, because it just came to me. My grandfather, Fred Allen, he taught me how to be a man of chivalry. He
mm,
was the one that taught me how to respect women and how to treat women,
right,
as well as my mother, my grandmother, my auntie.
right.
However, he was the one that taught me from a man's
Mm-hmm,
side of the house how to treat a woman.
mm-hmm,
So I have to inject that too as well. So my chivalry, pulling out the chair, opening up doors, being a man that protects the woman. My grandfather instilled that in me as well. So, and my grandmother and my mother, they were the ones who instilled, as well as my auntie, instilled in me financial responsibility as well.
mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that's why I get my character from.
That's beautiful. If I were to if you were to describe one word
Mm-hmm.
that you were looking for, like some people are looking outward for success, are they looking outward for love, are they looking outward for something? When you
Mm-hmm.
were growing up, everything is like a sponge to us when our brain is developing. What was one
Mm-hmm.
of the few things that when you were searching for, you found it?
Spiritual enlightenment.
Mm.
Oh
Tell.
yeah, definitely. Because I started out young when I was preaching. I was like literally 20 years old
Mm.
when I started preaching the gospel. So and I had preached for like almost 20 years.
Right. That.
So really that's what it really was. I was seeking peace, man. I wanted a peaceful atmosphere. That's what I wanted more than anything else in this world. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted
Right.
financial stability too with that as well. So yeah, it was being spiritually at peace, having a peaceful world, and having a prosperous life.
Right. You went through the military
Oh yeah,
to
20
get
years in the Marine
started.
Corps.
So as a Marine Corps soldier,
Mhm.
what did you do? What was your specialty?
I was a logistician when I was in the Marine Corps.
Logistician, and that means
Mhm. Logistics.
so you did all the supply, delivery, carry, and ordering of
Yeah,
parts.
we ship, we boxed. Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
Box and ship stuff out,
Yeah.
things of that nature. Yes, made
So
sure that we ship stuff into combat zones and things of that nature like that. Yeah,
yeah.
we was responsible for doing that, preserving items and packaging it up. Absolutely.
Did you, what, if you were to describe a quick story about what one thing that helped you mentorship wise while you were in the
Mhm.
military? Was there a couple of people or one person in particular that really built your character through the military times?
Honest with you, no, because I mean, I was already, raised right.
You were
So
already
I
there, right?
exactly. I don't contribute none of the way I am today from the military because I was already this person before I went into the military.
Wow. And so, at what point did you meet your wife?
I met my wife in 2015, actually after I retired
Okay,
from the Marine Corps.
right,
And so I met her through a mutual friend um, in South Carolina face to face.
right.
Before we even met, we were actually talking on Facebook and Glide. Back then they had that app called Glide so we could see each other.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, man, we had Glide back then. So, I was able to have a live conversation with her.
Right, right.
My wife and I, we talked a lot on the phone and, then we met face to face and, I heard in my spirit that she's the one. That's the
Mm,
first woman I ever heard that about. And I thought I was bananas.
right.
I was like, what? I just met this woman, on the same day. The same day. I promise you, it's no exaggeration. I was on my way back home because our friend, she only lived like 2 hours away from me. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So because I was living in North Carolina during that time in Wilmington, North Carolina, because I was stationed in
Oh,
Jacksonville. But
okay.
anyway, I was like, okay, she's the one. I just kept hearing it. And then her character just kept confirming it because she was
Mm,
consistently her all the time. And I said, man, there's no faking this right here. Cause by now, the cover would have came off. So I
right.
said, she really who she says she is. And here we are over 6 years later, going on 7 years, we've been married. So
That's beautiful. You guys run three businesses, correct? Or
we
two?
do. No,
Okay.
no, no. You're right. We run three. My wife and I, we're real estate investors. We're in the e-commerce space, and she
Hmm.
and I both are licensed life insurance advisors.
That's beautiful that you guys can co-create together and focus towards a goal that is for both of them.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
that's
She's the one
beautiful.
for me. That's all I got to say
You
about
guys
that.
have any kids?
No, not together. Not
Okay.
together. Not biologically, but we do. Far as marriage, we have a blended family. To get to all together, we have three, and we
Uh-huh.
have four grandchildren.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, grandparents.
Yeah. Oh
Ah.
yeah, yeah. Two girls, two
Uh,
boys.
so, Valkyrie, you've developed this personality of who you are. You've heard the vision. You started following the vision. I like to go back to the story in the Bible that talks about Jonah and how
Mhm.
he avoided what he was hearing for so long until to the point where he got swallowed up into the whale's belly. Because if he didn't
Yeah, yeah,
listen
that
then,
was me. Our brother was running.
right, right. And so
Oh
you
yeah,
you started preaching at, you said in your 20s.
yeah, I
Was,
did.
was
I was
that
literally 20. I was actually
right?
20.
Oh, wow, wow. So now
Mhm.
you are a transformational empowerment speaker.
Correct.
And from what you said in your bio, you focus on people's spiritual, physical, and financial wellness.
Absolutely.
Now, I do know that you have a passion for kids and mentoring
Yes.
kids, and so you also have
Yes.
a mentoring program that speaks towards that avenue. And I have a very big heart for kids myself because I believe when they grow up with with technology now, suicide is like a common breath, as if they're breathing in and out. That's the first thing that shows up in their mind because resilience doesn't exist. So
Mm.
how can you tell me about how do you get when you're speaking, how do you get them to understand the definition of resilience and how they need to just dig deep and just keep going?
The youth.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I speak to them on their level because I understand, that they're adolescents. So
yeah.
I speak to them on their level because I deal with them about peer pressure
Mm,
because we've all experienced peer pressure,
right.
and teach them to focus on the end goal. How it may be tough, but you got to stay focused on the end goal, look at the aftermath of the right choices that you make and where your life will end up being, when you don't listen to bad advice. When you listen to bad advice, I tell them you have a bad life, but you listen to good advice, when you apply it, you'll live a good life, because it's not enough to listen. I always tell them you have to execute what you hear,
Mm-hmm.
so I pretty much teach them how to be themselves, no different than adults, because as we all know, adults, we succumb to the status quo.
Yeah,
We try to keep up with the other adults, so
yeah, yeah.
I teach people to be their authentic selves, to embrace the greatness that the creator has given unto them as individuals, and help them to understand how liberating that is for them to be freely themselves.
Yeah, yeah. What's the most important leadership lesson that you've learned and you pass on to your clients and to the folks you speak with? What is that?
Mhm. Well, with leadership, it's like a cake. There's multiple ingredients, and then you have to go through the process of baking, and you have a finished product. So it's not just one thing when it comes to being a leader. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to have, character. You have to have a heart of love. You have to have patience. You
Mm,
know, so it's a conglomeration,
I love it.
of things. You have to be one of vision. You have to be a person that is vigilant, and a person that's steadfast. You have to be courageous,
Mm-hmm.
and be a person of humility and servitude. So as I said, I could go on because the list is very extensive. So
I,
I'll just leave it at
I
that.
love it because it's
You
funny
know,
because the question before that I was going to ask you is what are some of the ingredients that you mix together and create in your life? And and
wow.
when you mention ingredients, I just started laughing
All
and
right.
I
All
had to
praises. Give
struggle
thanks.
by breathing real hard to just listen and not go back to that question. So I had to really breathe and be present, and that's
I'm
one of the
tuned in. I'm
yeah.
tuned in, sis.
I want to elaborate a little bit on how we're talking to each other. We say sis and brother, and some cultures don't even know what that all means. Can you
Mhm.
pontificate a little bit more about why sh- have we're showing that kind of respect towards each other, even though we've never even met, but we know of
Yes.
each other?
Yes. Well, no man after the flesh, but after the spirit. But
Yes,
so I see you as a spiritual sister. I
yes,
connect with you as family. And not only that, not only in a spiritual aspect, but even in a fleshly aspect.
yeah,
I see you as family. We're all one.
yeah,
I'm a Pan-Africanist. So I believe that we're all one.
yeah,
We're all one people. Mama Africa birthed us all. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? So we all have the roots, that go back to Africa. We're family.
right,
So that's the reason why I say sister, because you are my sister, because
right.
Africa is our mother, so we're family.
That's right. And I wish people could have that perspective and just call each other that, because with that comes this level of love and
Hmm.
unconditional positive regard towards each other as a human being, and where
Hmm.
our humility tells us to show compassion for the other person. So I
Yes.
absolutely love it. I have a question that I actually wrote down that I want to ask you, and it says, what is the biggest surprise you've had in your journey so far?
The biggest surprise
Yeah.
is when I communicated with the ancestors.
Tell me a little bit more.
Yes, yes. When I started following after spirituality, I've had experiences with talking with the ancestors in my dreams.
Yes.
And so that was something that was absolutely like phenomenal.
Mm,
Like they were dressed up like, as you would see, Shaka Zulu, but it wasn't the Zulu,
yeah.
garments. It was actually my ancestors.
Nice.
So when I actually watched the video of the Mende people, and
Hmm.
I'm also a Kele, my people, on my father's side, I'm a Kele. So, I'm a straight up African man. And so
Yeah.
my ancestors came from Gabon and came from Sierra Leone,
Oh wow.
and so I looked at their garments, the way they dress, and basically that's the way it was. in the dream, and of course in antiquity, because they came to me, like I said, like in the movie Shaka Zulu. So I was like, wow, and then they started talking to me in not in English,
Right.
in our native tongue, and I started talking to them back in our native tongue.
I have that experience all the time.
So I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Even in the dream, I was like,
You're like,
how did I learn this? You know what I'm saying? Like, how did I learn this language? And
wait a
so
second. I can interpret what they're saying.
yeah, exactly. It was like they was talking to me in English, but we was speaking in the African tongue. Like I was speaking to them in that too. But as you know, when you can speak a language, you hear it, but the words, you can understand the words. You're able to make out the words, the
Right.
meaning of what you're saying. So it was
Right.
the same way, and I was like, wow. I said, this is amazing.
Most of the time when that happened in my experience, it's because I was in a spiritual tower moment where I had to release something in order to transfer to the next level of of my humanity, of who I wanted to be. In what was your experience how did you come into connection and communication with them? Was it stirred or triggered by?
Oh, actually, my cousin. Yeah, my
Yeah.
cousin was the first one to become spiritual on
Hmm.
my mother's side. My cousin Yusuf. So he was the one who actually brought to me the Kemetic teaching,
Uh-huh.
about Heru, Aset, and Heru said in Asar.
Oh,
So he
wow.
he brought to me, like, he started talking to me about the triune and really broke it down to me. And so he brought to me the Kemetic teaching. So I started really diving deep into that, and researching and dealing with the netter, and dealing with the spiritual aspect about things.
Yeah.
And it wasn't what I was taught from
Mm.
religion.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I was never harmed. I never had any negative activity happen after I, consulted with,
Right.
the netters,
Yeah.
and consulting with in the Yoruba tongue, because I'm a practitioner of Ifa, they say a gungun. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So, dealing with, which means answer. So dealing with the gungun, I recognized, I said, man, it's not what I was told. Every experience I had was always pleasant.
Mm.
So that's the reason why I say it was so shocking. I was like, wow. I said nothing bad happened.
Right. 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 Now,
I've been blessed. Actually, my life has been better since
yeah.
I relinquished religiosity. So
Oh, nice for you. I mean, so you've relinquished that and you found balance. So how did you learn to find balance between all the changes? I mean, you went 360. You went from this archetype of a person into a completely different person. And then when you
mhm,
connected with your
mhm,
spiritual ancestors, that also brought in a different version of you. So how
absolutely.
did you find and how did you learn to find that balance in presenting who you are today? The best, and the question with that though is this the best version of yourself? There's always room for improvement, but is this the best version of yourself?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? Because as you said, there's another level.
Yes, there's always
I'm
another
still
level.
I'm still in this flesh. You know what I'm saying? So I haven't ascended yet. I'm not an ancestor yet.
uh,
So absolutely the answer. And plus my reaction, I don't always handle things like I should,
that's the
So
human
so
side,
that's
right?
just, I'm just being very transparent. I think
Yeah,
sometimes people, forget, that even though you are a spiritual teacher, you still have your own obstacles in your life that you have to hurdle as well. You know what I
exactly.
mean? So no, it's definitely not. I wouldn't want this to be,
Exactly.
because I recognize that I can handle situations better. I know that I can do better, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So definitely, man, I would never want to stay where I am right now.
Mm,
That's, to me, that's just like, there's billions of dollars to be made, but I'm content with 100.
right.
No,
Uh, that's so
no,
true. Without imagination, where can you be?
right, exactly. So
Without
no,
dreaming,
it's
where will
another
you
level.
go? So, are there other speakers or mentors out there that you admire in your industry?
Well, yes, Baba Kameen, um,
Mhm.
Baba Professor James Small, Baba uh Ashra Kwesi,
Mm,
um, Dr. Ben
mm,
Yochanan, Dr. John Henry Clark,
mhm.
um, the Honorable Messiah Marcus Garvey. You
Right.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. You know, so yeah,
Beautiful.
those are the ones who I really, really, look up to, and also the Honorable Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Right.
as
Right.
well.
Beautiful. Let's shift into some self-awareness or mindful questions, Valkyrie. If you were to walk into a room of strangers and you're going around and you're talking to different people, what would be some of the metaphors that somebody would use to describe who shows up in the space, who you are?
Okay. So some of the metaphors, if
Yeah, he reminds me of my cousin Vinny, who was always talking all the time. Or, oh my goodness, he just has this peaceful energy about him that just reminds me of
mhm.
just
And would this be about could you repeat that question?
imagine that you are actually the observer of you walking into a room.
Oh, deserve. Okay, see, okay, I'm
And,
tracking.
and what are some of the things that a stranger would observe without even talking to you? Because the point I'm trying to make here is
Okay, sure, sure.
84% of our communication is nonverbal.
Hmm.
And so our energy and who we represent shows up first before we even open our mouths. So
Okay.
what is that part of you that shows up
Hmm.
and nobody has to ask you about?
Oh, okay, yeah, they say he a bad man.
Oh, don't you know?
That's a
Come on.
bad.
All right, stop
In
joking.
all seriousness, in all seriousness, though, from what I honestly I can't really go by what people tell me. A
Mm,
lot of people say, they feel like I'm a man of authority. I
mm,
get that a lot. I
yeah.
get that a lot. Like everywhere I go, they just something about that guy, like something different about that guy. Like my energy, it makes me stand out,
So
when I
grounded,
walk into a room. So,
grounded.
that's what I get a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That something this guy's different.
Hmm.
There's something about his energy that I'm feeling from this guy.
What about if after you talk to them and you walk away and you're out the
Mhm.
room, what would some of the things they would say, you think?
Well, I really couldn't say, what I'm
Yeah,
saying, because I'm not them. I don't know their mind like that. You,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So
You
I
know,
really, I really be making something up. You know what I'm
I
saying?
did
I don't know what they'll say, what they'll think.
I went
I've heard people say like literally what I said to you. Like,
yeah,
man, that's a powerful brother. Like they'll say, hey, when you had left, we was talking about you. Like, man, this brother is authentic. This brother is real. You know what I'm saying? So a
uh-huh.
lot of people they sense my genuineness. You
Mm,
know what I'm saying? I'm a straight up guy. So with that being said, a lot of people they recognize, that I'm that.
yeah, my little dog is back here making noises so you can
See,
hear
even
her.
the dog come into agreement. Yeah.
Where do you see your strengths?
My strength,
Yes.
I would really say just being a person of love, man, a
Mhm.
servant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Having that mindset of humility and servitude.
Mm,
Because that's what I'm really known for. Really, a lot of people notice that about me. That
yeah.
I'm really a servant. I have a servant's heart.
Right. That's the highest vibration you can be at. When we talk about emotions and the different levels of vibration, sadness being at the very bottom third, and
Mhm.
gratitude being at the middle, and love and unconditional love and service being at the top three tiers of vibration. And that's the best place to be at. So congratulations for that. And that comes with
Thank you.
passion. You don't just wake up and say, okay, I'm going to be of service. That comes with the gifts that you're born with. And so with that being said,
Indeed,
what
indeed.
are some of the gifts that you were born with that God is like, our spirit is telling you, oh, you need to bring your gift out some more. Yes, you have
Mhm.
that confidence, you have that, the leadership, but what is your gift that shows up when you came into this world?
Well, when I came into this world, I can't really say that I recognize what my gift is. You know what I'm
How about
saying?
when you were a
But
teenager?
now that I recognize where I'm at spiritually,
Mm,
it's what you aforesaid, of course.
yes.
Having the gift to speak,
Nice.
having the gift of healing. I've literally laid hands upon people, and literally seen miracles happen.
Exactly.
Having a gift, of interpreting dreams, and also being a oracle, being a mouthpiece,
Yeah.
what I'm saying, for the divine in this earth.
Love it.
So also, walking in the spirit of abundance, you
Mm,
know, and actually, tell you the truth, being a warrior, man, I really consider that to be a gift because I'm a
yes,
warrior.
it is.
That's Yeah, I'm a straight up warrior, boy. I'm talking about spiritually and naturally. I rumble. You know what I'm saying? That's why
Uh,
spirit had to get a hold of me, like, son,
yeah.
you got to get your energy under control.
Well, I'm gonna
That
dive.
Baba
I,
Shango and the goon energy, man. I mean, bring the ruckus.
I think I want to expand a little bit more on the spiritual side because, a lot of people don't talk about the spiritual side, or if they do speak about it, they want to profit off it. Like, I want to teach you how to do shamanism and all that stuff. But
Mhm,
when we talk about the spiritual side what the spirit is asking us to do, to be the healers and the speakers and the leaders of
mhm,
the community, um
mhm.
do you connect with other spiritual leaders out there and try to go for a goal of doing that kind of community healing or in connection?
Absolutely, because I'm here.
You just made like 100 points right there. Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely, I do.
Yeah,
Because birds of a feather do flock together. That is definitely the truth.
that's right.
Those of us who are the same like precious,
Yeah,
viewpoints, and spirituality,
yeah,
children of light, we all connect spiritually.
yeah.
There's a spiritual connectivity, and I'm not talking about skin. You
No,
know what I'm
there's an
saying? I'm,
energy.
I'm talking about children of light. All of us
Yeah,
who believe in being peacemakers and bringing heaven on this earth. All of us, we gel
yeah,
because we're spiritual family. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So I definitely do gravitate towards individuals like yourself,
yeah.
and others who want to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's so true. And you touch on a very big important point is when you are in spirit, there's an energy signature that is just known, and it's the
Absolutely.
internal toxic knowledge, and it
Mm.
goes all the way back to Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung when they start talking about this toxic knowledge, and all these other scientists that start studying the brain and the body and how we're interacting with each other and how dreams and everything is relating to our conscious mind. That is
Mhm.
just there's this knowing, our intuition, and we all have it. And so one of my biggest goals as
Right.
a spiritual leader is to try to teach people that you have your intuition. Let's get it back. You know.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I don't know if what is one of your goals when you meet a non-spiritual person, non-awakened to their spirituality person.
Well, it's to help them to come into the knowledge of self.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because once you learn how to accept those things about you, to me personally,
Hmm.
you when you go into that self journey, when you start going within,
Yeah.
you can't help but accept the spiritual realm
Yeah. Yeah.
because you recognize I'm spirit,
Hmm.
and that person that I'm looking at in the mirror is not me. So that's the goal, is to get them to understand that you are a spirit being in having a human experience.
Hmm.
For them to go within the inner them, their higher self, so they can have that higher consciousness, which will lead them to live a higher standard of living.
Yeah. So, when we talk about a higher standard of living and also doing things that are spiritually connected,
Mm-hmm.
it takes confidence and self-esteem. So if one of our audience members out there is like, oh yeah, I kind of feel some spirituality, but I'd rather be alone. I just don't have any self-esteem. I don't value myself. What is
Mm-hmm.
one message that you can say to our audience right now to help them value even the mustard seed of who they are?
Mm-hmm.
What would that message be? Because we have about 10 minutes to go, and I really want to value the wisdom that comes from you being so spiritually connected.
Mm-hmm. Well, faith comes by hearing, and so does doubt.
Mm.
So what you have to do is speak affirmations, just like the doubt has been spoken into your mind, whether it's by somebody else or even your own personal
Mm-hmm.
wording that has spoken you into the incarceration of your mind that is causing you to have the limited belief in yourself.
Mm.
Well, you got to start speaking regardless of what you're thinking. You have to continue to repeat these positive affirmations. I am
Mm.
smart. I am beautiful. I am handsome.
Mm.
I am loved.
Mm.
I am, successful.
Right.
Regardless of what's going on around you, because that's all an illusion anyway.
Yeah.
What you accept is what your reality is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So remember, what you accept is what you get. So a person think in their heart, so are they,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you keep thinking those things about yourself, then what you're doing is manifesting that.
Right.
So you have to watch not only your thoughts, but what you say, because life and death truly does lie within the power of the tongue. So you got to start speaking life so that those negative thoughts can die.
Right.
So start speaking life so those negative thoughts will die inside of you, and you will come to find that just like a seed, the words become like water.
Mm.
And it will start to manifest thoughts of faith in you. And then it will begin to grow, and you begin to grow in faith. And then you'll begin to have confidence in yourself, which is self-esteem, which is esteeming yourself. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying?
Yeah.
And helping yourself to grow.
That's I can't say that any better. I don't think I could even say that good. Beautifully well said.
Thank you, my sister.
I want to say, if you had to create an environment of safety, and
Mm-hmm.
you're the only one that could go into it, and you could
Mm-hmm.
bring 3 items with you, what would those 3 items be?
Okay, well, I would really say my spiritual,
Mm.
because one thing about it is that being I'm a spiritual person, and I've been protected.
Mm, right.
I didn't have no charms, no none of that at the
Yeah.
time. Not saying anything wrong with those things. Well, what I'm saying is that I would have to take with me my faith.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got to start with it, because the weapons of our warfare,
Yeah.
in certain situations are not carnal.
Yeah.
So that still resonates within me, even in the spiritual walk. So I
Yeah.
understand, that you need some divine protection. So it will be, definitely my faith. You know what I'm saying?
Love it.
And also, I would say some literature,
Yeah.
that will help to continue to feed my spirit,
Mm.
and then I will have my actual natural weapon. Yeah. Peace be still.
Sound like Medea.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Peace be still.
You mentioned some reading material. What are some of your favorite books that you would take with you?
Well, I would definitely take my EFAR prayer book. It's called Hear, Olofi's Song. And this is the book that helped me to truly connect with my
Okay,
spiritual self right here. This is the
wonderful.
EFAR prayer book.
Okay, never heard of it.
Yep. And that's it right there. That's the main one. That's the one I would definitely take.
Well, how can people reach you if they need to reach you as a mentor, as a
Sure.
speaker, or a coach? How can
Mm-hmm.
they reach you?
Very simple. My first name, my last name, no spaces.com.
It sounds like a
And
song.
it will give you all of my social media platforms, my emails, okay,
Wonderful.
all of my outlets,
Right.
that I'm on.
That is so beautiful. I have one final question for you. And I play around with this. Not your first name, but we're going to take your last name,
Mm-hmm.
and I want you to take every single letter and describe who you are with that letter. Like for me, I'm Aletha. I am assertive. I
Mm-hmm.
am loyal,
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. Jamor.
Okay, sure. Just,
Yes.
opinionative, mindful.
Yay.
Um, I'm
Bold.
looking for the other O.
Bold.
You gave me the B. I'll stick with that.
Observant.
Yeah, there we go. Observant
Yes.
and relatable.
Oh, I love that. Love that. That's beautiful. Well, we're going to let you say one final thing before we go, but to the audience, well, I want to say thank you guys for staying here with us and listening to this wonderful 60 minutes of very conscious mindset conversation. In relation to looking at the environment where you came from, Valkyrie, and it was filled with so many movements of negativity, yet
Mm-hmm.
you made it through because, as you said, you were divinely matched with ancestors that protected you, and the divine itself, and also the warrior spirit that's inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a word of encouragement for our teens, and I really want to aim towards our young adults who are no longer teenagers, but they are young adults struggling with the society right now where they can't even live by themselves because the finance is just not there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have all the struggles that they're going through, that the easiest thing for them is say to give up. What words
Mm-hmm.
of encouragement can you give our young adults right now?
Well, I would tell them that, I understand the way that you feel because I felt that way before.
Yeah.
I haven't always been this person um of faith at every point of my life. That's just not being realistic. I wasn't always walking on cloud. I am that I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would just simply tell you that trouble don't last always. And I know that's easier said than understood,
Right.
right? But just understand that that too shall pass, and you have to start focusing on the positive things in your life. Set some goals in your life, because when you set those goals in your life, that'll keep you having something to strive towards,
Right.
right? To stay focused on. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you this because I was in the midst of chaos. What was my goal? To get out of it,
Right.
to get out of the chaos, right? So no matter what obstacle that comes in your life, remember, just like a hurdle or a track runner, they have to jump over those hurdles before they cross the finish line. So
Right.
understand, in life, you shall have trials and tribulations. That's just a part of life. And you're not the only one that goes through those things.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind. Remember, you're not really by yourself, because sometimes we feel like I'm the only one. No, you're not by yourself. All of us go through things in life, right?
Yeah.
So what you have to work on doing, instead of letting your atmosphere control you, you want to be like a thermostat.
Mm,
Okay. You want to control your atmosphere. You want to be the atmosphere changer. And how do
mm,
you do that? You do that by your thoughts. You
mm-hmm.
do that by positive affirmations. I'm telling you this because that's what I did before I even knew what affirmations were. You know, I ain't even know, affirmation with the word. I never heard of the word. Growing up in the hood, nobody say, "Oh yeah, say affirmation." Right? So I just continually kept telling myself, this is not it for me. I'm going to make it. And I promise you, and I'm not just telling you this, I literally kept focusing because the recruiter came to me. I literally was a uh, a sophomore when I
Mm-hmm.
met the recruiter, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna be a Marine. This is my way out. This is my opportunity. Now remember, mind you, I told you a sophomore. So
Mm-hmm.
I went into the Marine Corps when I graduated high school.
Right.
So you're talking about 3 years I maintained my focus and held on to my dream and my goal. And I didn't allow nobody, not even myself.
Right.
Okay. Because you are your worst enemy. Believe it or not, you.
Yeah.
Nobody can stop you except for you. So if you accept defeat, you're going to stay defeated. Don't
Get
accept
out of
you're
my
not
head.
defeated. You're not defeated.
Get out of my head. You're
So
speaking.
and that's that spiritual connectivity. That's that transmission coming down from above. But I tell you, just stay focused, and don't allow no one or nothing to stop you from accomplishing your goal. Because
Yeah.
when you give up, what you've done is you forfeited your blessing.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Well, Valkyrie, I want to close with this blessing. May you be blessed. May you be surrounded by all that is around you, and that the
I
divine
say,
continues to bring you the right people in your life to make you even a better version of yourself
I
each
say,
time. And so, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being here and for sharing the space with me. And the value that you bring is more than material. The
you're
value
welcome,
you
my
bring
sister.
is more than material. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And my regards to your better half.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yes, and I will see each other soon.